Joining me now, Social Development Minister Lindiwe Zulu. Minister, good evening to you and thank you so much for your time. Your ministry has taken center stage in the last 2 years because South Africans have really been in a position that perhaps they have not been in a long time, where we see unemployment skyrocketing, we see poverty skyrocketing, and there were multiple interventions that your department had to lead. Before we talk about the expectations around tomorrow, let's talk about what you think have been some of the significant policy changes or amendments over the last 2 years that have really helped to deal with the state of poverty and inequality.
Thank you very much, Cathy, for the opportunity. I think I want to start from a position that as a Department of Social Development, we are responsible for the well-being of South Africans in general. However, we focus on the most vulnerable, and that includes people who are unemployed, those that are homeless, those that are struggling from a family, supporting their families. So, when COVID-19 hit us, yes, it's been a very big pain to have COVID-19. We lost a lot of people, and hence the President is talking about us recovering from there. But what we did as a department in particular, of course being supported by the entire government, is to include the issue of social protection for our people, because when there was discussion about protecting the economy of the country through the packages that the President announced across the board, we were among those that got an opportunity, one, to increase the social grants across the board for everybody the first year. Secondly, we then started with the 350, which was a new grant altogether. And thirdly, we tried by all means to make sure that we are supportive of families that did not have food. So through our programs of food parcels, vouchers and so forth, we're able to cover millions of our people through the Department of Social Development, through SASSA, and through the National Development Agency. But may I add at the end that we were not alone in that, because we've got NPOs and NGOs that we work with. They also stepped up a lot to make sure that the most vulnerable are catered for.
Was it the idea of social development for there to be some kind of support for South Africans during this pandemic? And I'm talking here specifically about the Social Relief of Distress Grant.
Look, when you are a Department of Social Development, whether there is a minister called Lindiwe Zulu or any other, your responsibility and the department and the whole department and the ministry is to make sure that we respond to vulnerability. And vulnerability under COVID-19, there was the problem of people who normally go and hustle for themselves. They were unable to do that because there was lockdown level 5, right down up to level 1. And most of the ones who were able to hustle for themselves were not able to do that anymore. And by the way, we also needed to cover even some of the people who are in our borders, who are foreign nationals, but of course who are properly registered in South Africa and all. So we covered the length and breadth of our country in terms of those that were in social distress. That's why we call it social relief of distress.
I want us to talk about expectations ahead of tomorrow. Minister, the issue of a basic income grant, many will point to the time that Zola Skweyiya was minister and say that was really the time that we saw an introduction of this policy. It somehow faded into the background. You have brought it back on the table. You are saying we need to have a conversation about the basic income grant. How far have you taken this conversation, particularly when it comes to your colleagues in cabinet and also within the ANC structures?
Well, from the time that we realized that the social relief of distress, and in particular related to the 350, was going to come to an end. And it did come to an end at some point, and the President extended it. It was at that time that the questions, we were asking ourselves the question, COVID-19 is still here, it hasn't ended. What are we going to do when the 350 ends? And by the way, Cathy, I'd like us to look at the overall support on social relief, not only on the basis of just the 350, but of course the 350 propels us to the next level of discussing about the basic income grant, lessons learned from the 350, what people were able to use the 350 for. They used it for basics. They didn't put it under the mattress. That money goes right back into the hands of the economy, and that means it's also a way of boosting the economy, albeit it might not be that huge, but the bottom line is that that money goes back. Now, the basic income grant came back on the basis that we're looking for what can we do after the 350 has ended. And my view was, this is an opportune moment to look beyond the issue of COVID. Let us realize that South Africa is a country that has the possibility of feeding its people. South Africa is a country that is capable of making sure that people live a better life. South Africa has got a financial muscle, by the way, if you were to dig deeper into it, does have a financial muscle that can make sure that nobody goes hungry. The issue is, where does that money go to? What is the impact of the money? And that's where we need to focus on, and I'm sure the president will focus on that.
Minister Zulu, in as much as the president could well say something about extending relief or social support for the majority of South Africans, you still face a hurdle in as far as the question of the finances. It's not a question that you're new to. Where will the money come from? What kind of battle are you expecting here with the finance minister who's going to be here at the end of February about, if you're saying, let's introduce this general basic income support, where are you expecting Treasury to find that money?
I'm not expecting a battle, by the way, because I think the entire government is very conscious of the challenges of the poor. The government is very conscious of the unemployment that we have. Government overall is very conscious of the fact that the majority who are still out there without jobs. The president talks about the number of people who've never even been to work at all, not because they don't want to. The president speaks about the figures that we have put on the table as the Department of Social Development through SASSA. The SASSA itself can tell you we have application of 15 million people. Maybe you can reduce other chance takers, but the bottom line is that what are the figures that we are being told of the unemployed? That's where we need to focus. I'm not expecting a battle, and I'm happy that I'm not expecting a battle because I'm working with colleagues in a government who are very conscious of the challenges that are faced by people who are unemployed, by people who are hungry, by people who are in poverty. So I'm not expecting a battle. And by the way, I don't expect a battle because I know that we've got the support of civil society, we've got the support of NPOs and NGOs, we've got support of people who sit in Nedlec who are supposed to do the battle for us in that case.
When you talk about the support then, Minister, what are you expecting the president to say about basic income support tomorrow?
I'm not expecting the president as much to focus on the basic income grant as such. He might maybe indicate that we're looking at the long term of supporting our people. Why do I say that? I say that because the whole issue of the basic income grant is a discussion that is ongoing, but is a discussion that has been concluded from the African National Congress point of view, is a discussion that has been concluded with civil society, is a discussion that is no longer a discussion, it's now about how are you going to do it. So if the president happens to speak about it, he'll probably speak about how can that be done.
All right. Just before I let you go, Minister, there's a picture that we're showing on a screen, and hopefully the team can go back to it in terms of what the streets here of City Hall look like. But they right behind us, right, we are seeing just the huge number of military presence, of police officers, of security. And the reason why we're here is because there was a security breach in Parliament. Should we be worried about whether or not tomorrow will take place seamlessly? Do you personally have concerns about safety and security ahead of tomorrow?
I am very confident that tomorrow is going to be a great day, particularly because I'm not speaking from the outside, I'm speaking from the inside. I've been sitting in the preparation plans for tomorrow, and the reason why you would have so much security is because we've just got to make sure that the confidence that we have to give to our people, we must make sure that there is no incident that makes South Africans feel vulnerable or South Africans feel we are not in charge. We are in charge, Sona is going to happen tomorrow. And here, as you can see, there's rehearsals and all that. We've been preparing this for a very long time. And as I say, I've been sitting in the prep meetings. I'm very confident that the president tomorrow will deliver the State of a Nation in under, yes, difficult conditions, because it could have been nice to have been in the same place. But look, we are South Africa, we're a resilient nation. That happened in Parliament. We're here now, we've got another place where we can make it happen.
All right, Minister Lindiwe Zulu, let's leave it there for tonight. She is the Social Development Minister. You heard her thoughts on the basic income support, especially through a basic income grant and expectations for the President.